If you've ever struggled with under eye hollows, dark circles, or concealer creasing, you know the struggle is real. You try to brighten your eyes, but then the concealer creases in your fine lines. If you powder it to fix it, then suddenly it looks dry, cakey, and worse than before. If this sounds familiar, then you're not alone. Hi everyone, it's Smitha and I've been playing with makeup for over 2 decades, but I've had my battles with this. I'll be honest with you. Every year, the lines get deeper and my skin is definitely mature because I'm almost hitting my big 50 and the concealer seems to hate me more and more every year. Over the couple decades that I've worked on mature skin, I've experimented with a ton of stuff and I've found my formula. A formula that'll smooth out the fine lines, won't look cakey, and will last you the entire day. On one side, I'll show you how to smooth out those fine lines, make it look natural and make it last the entire day. And on the other side, I'll show you the mistakes that you can make to make your eyes look worse. So let's dive in. Step 1. Are you prepping your eyes? This is key if you want your makeup to sit nicely without creasing or looking chalky. Use a lightweight hydrating cream that isn't greasy. And one of my current favorites is from Nakri. It's the Lift Tox Anti-Gravity 360-degree Eye Lifting Cream. I especially love the nozzle. It's metal, so it's so cooling on my under eye. And it definitely lifts and brightens your under eye. My suggestion is instead of applying it right before makeup, try to give at least a 10-minute gap. That way when you apply your concealer or foundation over it, it doesn't slip off. The idea of applying an under eye cream is it has to moisturize under eyes and it has to get absorbed into the skin. If it settles on top of the skin, then when you apply another makeup product over this, it can easily move. And when it moves, it creases. So you absolutely want to avoid that. And of course, because we're doing the right and the wrong side, I'm only applying it on one side. The next step before you apply concealer is to apply foundation. But before that, you have to prime your face to smooth everything out. So I'm going to be using the Point of View Glaze It. This is a tacky primer. And I also love the way this makes my skin feel. You're using a primer for 2 reasons. One, it's going to fill in all those pores, all the fine lines, and smooth out your skin. So you're starting with a clean canvas before you apply any other makeup over your skin. Second, it's going to form that tacky layer. So when you apply makeup on a sticky surface, it's going to cling onto it and become long-lasting. The next big mistake that most of us do is while applying foundation. To demonstrate this, I'm going to be using the Worst Multi-Serum Skin Tint. This has an SPF 40 and I'm using the shade 8P. If you have mature skin, look no further. This skin tint is beautiful. First off, the color matching for this product is phenomenal. I'm usually a neutral toned person and just getting the right product is really hard. On my right side, where I'm trying to do everything right, I did not take this under my eye. But on my left side, I'm also going to use this under eye. Now I'll tell you why that's a mistake. Now you're going to be using a concealer anyway under your eye, which is going to give you more coverage than a foundation, which concealers usually do. So applying foundation first is really not doing anything other than layering. When you unnecessarily use more products to layer up, there are more chances of it moving, caking, or creasing. So make sure to avoid applying foundation under your eye unless you're using a foundation as a concealer as well and you're not using a concealer over it. And our under eyes keeps moving all the time. It's most mobile because we use it when we smile, when we get angry, when you want to show different expressions. So any products applied around your eyes will tend to move faster. And if you observe, that skin tint seems to be already creasing under my left eye. Now let's talk concealer. But just to be fair, let me go ahead and clean up all those creases on my left side. There's a couple big mistakes that we make while choosing concealers. Choosing a formula that's too thick. Now, don't get me wrong, these concealers are fabulous if you have minimal to no fine lines under your eyes or you want to use it to spot correct. And that's precisely how I use pot concealers that are really thick. But applying it under your eyes with fine lines is a completely different story. And the second mistake that you can do is using a very light concealer. You probably feel like lighter the concealer, the brighter your under eyes. But if you have discoloration like me, if you have dark circles, they usually have a blue to purple undertone. Now, if you use a light color concealer, it's going to mix with those blue-purple undertones and start to look ashy. At first, you can see how beautifully it has covered up everything, and it also looks so bright under my eyes. But wait for a bit and you'll see it'll start to crease and also look ashy. Instead, try to choose a concealer that has a creamy texture but is fast drying. For me, it's Milani Concealer, and I'm choosing the shade 145, which is warm beige, because it's a true match to my skin tone. That's really important, especially while covering up dark circles. And while applying concealer, I like to avoid those fine lines and apply it to the inner and outer corners where the dark circles are usually darkest. I wait for a couple minutes till it settles down and becomes a little bit tacky before I blend it out. That way you're using less product and getting more coverage. I blend out the corners first, and with the residue, I even out all of the skin tone under my eye. That way you're using less product over those fine lines. And as you can see on my left side, the fine lines are more pronounced and you can see that it has started to crease. But on my right side, it looks a little bit smoother. You're not going lighter, you're going for something that's a true match to your skin tone, meaning it's not going to mix with those blue-purple undertones to give you that ashy look. I'm also going to use that concealer on my lids. There's one point I want to clarify here. You will still be able to see your fine lines because you have fine lines. What we're trying to do here is stop the concealer from getting in those fine lines, separating out and creasing. The technique is not going to erase the fine lines. The only way you can do that is through cosmetic process. And here what we're doing is using makeup to smooth it out. You can still see it, but it's not as pronounced. It's time to set with powder. I'm going to be using the One Size Blurring Setting Powder because it's very finely sifted. So it really helps to blur out those fine lines without feeling heavy and cakey, unless you do the next mistake. Let me go ahead and clean out those creases on my left side before I apply powder. What many of us do, including me, I'm guilty of this, is go in with a powder and start to bake immediately under the eyes. So just going in with a powder puff or sponge, even before lightly setting under eyes, you press in a ton of powder that will stick onto that heavy concealer and starts to look cakey. It looks chalky, it looks patchy, it looks heavy, it'll look cakey, and overall just very uncomfortable under the eyes. Instead, take a little bit of powder with a brush. I'm just using a flat, fluffy brush here, and pat it gently under your eyes. And especially avoid compacts or pressed foundation powders to set underneath the eyes because they are heavier than loose powders or translucent powders. Do you see that difference already? Again, I have those fine lines. I cannot erase it just with makeup. But as you can see, the concealer has not settled in the fine lines on my right side, but on my left side, it has creased. This last step is going to seal the deal for you using a setting spray. I'm going to be using the One Size Until Dawn because this is one of the strongest setting sprays I've ever used in my life. All I'm going to do is lightly spritz a flat, fluffy brush and go over that powder that I applied. That's not only going to melt all of that powder, it's also going to lock and set everything under the eye. So none of those products that you applied will move. And when it doesn't move, it doesn't settle in the fine lines and it doesn't crease. And because we're using a setting spray to melt all of those powders, nothing feels heavy. I'm going to apply some mascara and be right back. See that difference? One side is definitely looking very natural and those lines look much smoother than the other side where everything looks heavy and creased. That's it, my friends. That's my 20 years of learning about concealer in this one tutorial. I hope you found this helpful. And if you want more tips, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to thumbs up. I've listed all of the products that I used in the description box below, and they're also tagged in this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you soon with a brand new one. Bye, guys.